Hi, my name is Jackie Pucci. Welcome to AgriBusiness Global Report, where we bring you interviews with executives and experts working in the agrochemical, biological, and plant health industries. Today, I'm talking with Thomas Laurent, the CEO and co-founder of Micropep, a French ag biotech startup that is developing natural crop protection solutions based on the potential of micropeptides. The mission of the company is to build the next generation of sustainable solutions for farmers who care about their crops and the future of the planet. Thomas, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Happy to be here.
Thanks. So just to start, why micropeptides?
I think that the job of farming today is really tough. If you look at the drivers behind what's happening in this industry, farmers are losing tools faster than they are being replaced. So there are big trends because of resistance. On one hand, the conventional crop protection solutions are less and less effective because of resistance. There's strong regulatory pressure as well. You have more and more compounds that are banned. So all in all, we are expecting farmers to do more things with less tools. And what is interesting in parallel to that is that there's, for me, a new technological space that is coming into ag, the one with compounds like proteins, RNA, and peptides. So those compounds already exist in other industry. They are widely used in pharma, lots of drugs that are based on those type of compounds. And we see those technologies now coming into ag because cost of goods start to be sold because we know how to formulate them. And Micropep is one of these companies, evolving that new space. So we specialize in very short proteins. We call them micropeptides with very unique mode of actions. And I believe those biologicals 2.0, as some other people are saying, is a potential future for crop protection.
Great. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the company, how it got started, how you got your start?
Yeah, so I co-founded the company in 2016 back in France. So I teamed up with the two scientists at the origin of this micropeptide technology that we are developing, Jean-Philippe Combier and Dominique Laurent. Okay. My personal background, so I'm coming from business, strategy consulting. I also had entrepreneurship experience and tech transfer. And what I really loved about this project when I met Jean-Philippe and Dominique is that for me, we had the crossroads of things that are important to me. So business, of course, but science. So I'm passionate about discovering new things and understanding these pieces of biology and how they could have impact. And that's the third key aspect to me is impact. I have two daughters, 3 and 6 years old. I know they're going to grow up in a world that is very different than the one I experienced myself. And as a father as well, for me, it's important to try working on something that I believe can have a meaningful impact on the planet and on the future. I think agriculture is probably the best playground for that, to have the biggest impact on the planet. I think it's at the center of all those climate change issues, and the future of the world for me is really lies into agriculture.
Great. So I know that Micropep announced a collaboration with FMC late 2022 to develop biological solutions. Can you tell me more about that partnership and when and where we can expect the products result from it?
So first of all, I'm really excited about this partnership. It's great for a small company like us to be able to partner with one of the big players in ag. So it's a research agreement. I think it's worth noting because it's not that often that companies like FMC can trust new platforms like the one we have developed and partner early in product development cycle. So that's a research agreement. So we are combining our forces, so leveraging the platform we have built to find small peptide that could have an impact and control multi-resistant weeds. So we're going after important weeds that we can find in North America. So we are going to work on the design. We are combining forces with them on the screening test. And then when things are going to move forward, work in production, formulation, and develop product together. We're at the very beginning of this partnership. So that, for a commercial chemical, it's about 12 years of research and development and like 200 million more of funding before we can start to see a new active in the market. Hopefully for protein peptides, which are part of biologicals, it's faster, but it still requires a bit of time. So we can count of 6 to 7 years of R&D, globally speaking, from idea to first leads identified, to field test, to regulatory, and so on. So very excited at the beginning of it. but hopefully, yeah, it will deliver exciting tools for farmers.
It's cool that you mentioned resistant weeds, as that's what you're working on, because we usually hear about biologicals in the context of pests like insects and disease. So can you talk a little bit more about that space and just how that has gone?
So interestingly, when I started the company and talked with the founders of scientific founders, I asked, okay, what could be the potential of those micropeptides? What could be done? So we can go after, disease, and actually we have a project also on disease resistance. We could go after insects, but we could also impact plant growth and with good selectivity. And when I was looking at the tools available for farmers, it's really striking to see that comparing conventional chemistry and biologicals, you do have a lot of bioinsecticides, you do have several biofungicides, but you don't have much bioherbicides.
Right.
And my thinking was, if there's a very small chance that this technology could have an impact on the herbicide market, we should take it and try working in that direction. So this is what we've started from the very beginning of the company. We demonstrated we could selectively control plants, and that's kind of the core results that we're using for this partnership. So for me, it's very exciting. There's a big need. We talk a lot about glyphosate here in the US, but also of course in Europe. And for me, that's where there's a big gap in the tools available for farmers.
Are you able to talk about the specific activity on resistant weeds like water hemp, Palmer amaranth?
So kind of the way we approach that in terms of mode of action. So first of all, we are looking at different mode of actions, but with the same type of small peptides. So it's a strength of like 10 amino acid long with very short proteins. A core technology that we studied are small proteins that can regulate specific genes. And here the idea is to see if we can fine tune the expression of genes that are involved in resistance mechanism to weaken the resistant weeds or to kill them. And so that's the first go-to mode of action that we are developing.
Okay, great. So what is your approach to gaining momentum on adoption of your solutions in row crops? I know you guys have the partnership with FMC, but how do you see that future?
So for me, I would say that, for adoption, you need at least four aspects, starting with first efficacy. If you want to play in the game, you need to have a product that is efficient. That's the first thing. You need to have something that the farmer can afford. So that's cost of goods and economics. Then you need to be approved, so you have the right to sell. And then finally, you need to be able to make your product available so that farmers can purchase it when they want it. We're still early in development, so we're really focusing our time on efficacy and cost. So that's for us kind of the prerequisite. So we've been running field trials on our disease control project. That's where we focus most of our time. We showing good efficacy in the field and also working hard on the production of those new compounds. That was one of the key challenge to solve, and happy with the progress we made there. But then, of course, we start to work on the regulatory front so that we make sure that at some point, farmers will be, we will be authorized to sell our product to farmers. And then finally, we're getting the last piece, but which is the big one, which is market access. We're at the same time talking to farmers to generate demand and adoption, so to get feedback and making sure that what we develop makes sense. But also, exploring conversations with distributors, other manufacturers to have the right network of partners. So partnership is also going to be a critical piece of the company strategy. That's why also we recruited a chief business officer, Alex, who joined us a few months ago to really go in that direction.
I see. So in the EU, you obviously have more stringent regulatory environments than anywhere else. So even with biologicals. So can you talk about how regulations play into your strategy and how you see that evolving too in the EU?
So regulatory is a core component in that type of industry war. It's the same with pharma. You cannot just launch a drug or an herbicide or fungicide just like that. You need to be approved. And it has a big impact on time to market. As a startup funded by a venture capital firm, the time to sell a product is a critical aspect of companies funding and all. what's interesting is that for me, there's this criteria on one end and the other one, which is market opportunity. And this is where when you compare geographies, we have different dynamics. So typically it's going to be faster, regulatory is much more aggressive and easier to take in US, in Latin America. So that's why our first product are going to be launched in those markets. So that's also why I'm here, and that's also what our focus is. When we talk more specifically about fungicide, there's a bigger market opportunity globally in Europe. Europe is a bigger fungicide market than the US. But as you mentioned, rightly so, I mean, regulatory is going to take longer. So proactively for us, we are focusing our time in the US, in Latin America. That's where our first product are going to be launched. And of course, keeping working on the European side as well, trying to move the needle if we can. Actually, we have initiatives in common with other companies in the same space of protein, peptides, and RNA to try to educate the European Commissions. But that's, let's say, a longer bet.
So just in closing, what can we expect next from you? And what are you most excited about?
So first of all, we are going to release soon a communication about the field trials that we've conducted on our first biofungicide lead. So very excited with the efficacy that we've seen in the field. So for us, that's great milestone that we checked. Very excited also with this expansion of field trials that we're doing this year. We really solved last year a key component on production. I talked about briefly cost of good, and I think for those technologies, proteins, RNA, peptides, that's a critical aspect. So very excited with the progress we've made there, because now we have the ability to make enough compounds to scale our trials. And the third aspect that I'm really excited is to see those partnerships that I was referring to coming to fruition. So we are talking to different persons in the industry, also from academy to distributors, and that's a core part of the strategy of the company. So very excited also about that, and hopefully able to communicate more about partnerships in the near future.
Great. And we will link to those field trial reports and look forward to following your progress with Micropep. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Jackie. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.